Hey guys, Glaze here covering the basic setups on Dust 2 for you today. I know it's been a while since I've done a basic setup video, possibly even over a month. I'm not 100% sure. I've just been trying to figure out the content I'm exactly wanting to produce for you guys recently, as I don't want it to be bad content or whatever. But everything is going to be a lot more consistent from now on, and I have a lot of plans for content going on the next couple of weeks. So if you aren't already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as you won't want to miss out on any content to come in the next couple of weeks. So right now, I'll just stop talking for you guys so we can get on with the basic setups of Dust 2. First of all, I just want to talk about how Dust 2 is very different in terms of the way you set up compared to a lot of other maps on the CT side. Dust 2 is heavily based on spawns, so that you can't always have the same players go into the same positions if you're playing in Team CS or if you're against a good opponent in general, who uses their spawns to the best of their abilities and will use their long spawns, their B spawns, whatever it is they have. The best example I can give of this is the long spawn on CT side. Each round you'll get a long spawn, and it is very important you use this long spawn. That player can run up long and Molotov double doors, because if the T's get a good long spawn, you need to make sure they can't get out long for free. Also, in terms of taking map control, you either need to have short or long control as a CT side on the A side of the map. If you do not have either of these areas of the map and these positions, it will be almost impossible for you to keep the A site under lock. For example, if you're getting heavily pressured from long from the T side, you can send two players on short to take map control here, and the same with if you're getting heavy pressure from short, you can also send players long if you do not already have the control, because if you do not have both of them, you are essentially screwed, because there is nowhere to stay on a site which is safe from both angles at the same time. What I'm showing you now on screen is what you should be doing as a standard default long take. Because this is a basic setup video, I will only be giving you this one way to take long early, as it will be essentially all you need. So like I've just spoke about with the best spawn of the long player will obviously go first, Molotov long doors, then the second player straight away behind them will run up playing anti-flash this entire time. That is because you do not want to be flashed by any T's that may be coming out long, and also the third teammate who will also be throwing a flashbang. That brings me on to the third player. So the third player will be the third best spawn, which will be in the middle of all the 5 spawns. That player will just go and run and stand on the corner, left click a flashbang, and that will pop just behind your team, so that any T's who come running out of long will be full flashed. As the third player, after your two teammates have long control, that third player can back off on towards the site and make sure no one is fast running up short. Here is the default you'll be going into after you have done this long take. Keeping one player in long in either pit or close double doors, meaning you have control of this space, and that way you can have the player who is helping you on long can rotate off back towards site, having one player on goose, then another player on default. For example, if you're getting heavily pressured somewhere else on the map, possibly like middle, one of these players on the site can easily just drop down and help your teammate through CT spawn. Before we go on to the next setup I have for you guys, I want to show you the best way to boost onto short. Almost 99% of you will boost players up short this way that I'm showing right now, with crouching in this corner and then having to stand up to boost them up. However, this isn't the best way you should be doing it. Instead, you should be standing on the back corner of this box. You do not need to be crouching for this boost, okay? You can be standing up. You also don't need to be exactly in the corner. It's quite lenient, just in the back right hand corner. Then your teammates can easily just jump onto this box and then jump onto your head while you're standing up to get onto short super fast. So here is the next setup I have for you guys that you can use from the short boost that I just showed you, where you get two players in this position as fast as possible. From this setup, you will have an AWP on site, as they're just having to hold for the long push, so obviously you want them to have the AWP, and then you can have two players on short with a rifle. One of these two players will be playing anti-flash, and that will be the one next to the stairs, just in case the enemy does go for a pop flash around the corner. You don't want to be both full blind. The second player, who is also a rifler in the situation, who is sort of playing more of the AWP angle, I guess you could call it, they will have first contact of this short push, and if they get flashed, just slightly hide, but do not drop into CT. This way, you two can both help each other out with trades to gain the best advantage as possible for your team, while also keeping this short control. The AWPer on site is also someone who can help you to on short if really needed. This player can throw flashes deeper if you want to go for more aggressive plays, or even flashes possibly slightly behind you, just in case T's go super aggressive and try fight you. As I said, guys, at the start of this video, Dust 2 setups are very different compared to most standard maps, so I'm having to throw in some aggressive takes for you also that you can do. Here is just an example of one where you can do an aggressive mid take with 3 players. 2 of them are boosted up short, the same way I showed you before, and then also having 1 player who usually would go B instead come lower this round. So they're going to be throwing smoke against Xbox, allowing for them to cross as safe as possible. The player in low's job is to essentially make sure the 2 players on short cannot be picked off from this position, as they'll be very open at the time. The 2 players in short are just having to try and fight top, middle, and suicide, possibly pushing up even more if you are willing to take the risk. Here is a strong position that you can boost a teammate onto at the start of the round if you are wanting to go for a double mid setup. Having 1 in this position is great, as they cannot be smoked off unless the enemy has a very specific lineup to counter this. However, depending on the level of the team you're against, I doubt they'll have one. If they're possibly maybe level 10 or above on face it, like the average elo of the team you're against, they will most likely smoke this off. However, if you are below this, I wouldn't really worry about it. Here you can see how the crossfire will work with the 2 players on middle. You can use this setup if you know the enemy team you're against frequently likes to take mid control and like fighting in this area of the map. Because of the way you're boosting a player into CT, it's a bit of a high risk, because if no one comes out middle, this player is essentially, I wouldn't say maybe useless, but they're essentially locked out of the round in a way, because they've invested their position to be there. For the B setup and B hold in general, the player with the best spawn will run straight to the B site, throw a Molotov in towards tunnel, and then quickly switch to anti-flash. Smoking off tunnel as the Molotov is about to fade, allowing for you to cross onto the other side so you can get ready for this setup that I'm going to show you in just a second. As the second player, or mid player in general I guess you could call it, you'll want to be going towards window from your spawn, just making sure early no one pushes through the Molotov or smokes it off, going for an aggressive B take. From this position, you'll be able to set yourself up onto the site, having a very strong 2-man B setup. Thank you guys so much for watching the basic setup video on Dust 2. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. I really do appreciate it, and I'll speak to you guys very soon.